Hey everyone, welcome to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette Pitt post-game show here at Acrisure Stadium. Your Pitt beat reporters Chris Carter and Stephen Thompson. Pitt squeaks one away, maybe even steals one away from Cal, winning 17-15 here at Acrisure Stadium, advancing to 6-0 for the first time since 1982. Lots to talk about here, Stephen, and it was a crazy game, but not in the way that we've become accustomed to seeing crazy games this season where the offense leads the way.
Yeah, it was the defense who led the way in this game, and I think you are best suited to talk about why that defense was able to really come up clutch and lead this team to a victory right now.
Absolutely. So as always, we do our good, bad, and our ugly. I'll start with my good, and it's that defense. And I'm going to highlight specifically the defensive pass rush. Pitt's pass rush has not gotten home a lot as this year compared to past years under Charlie Partridge, but Tim Dowst and that defensive front, they got cooking. Also, Ryan Manalax deserves credit for that linebacker unit. They were getting after it. Braylan Lovelace, sophomore linebacker, getting a start in this game for Rasheem Biles. He comes in late in the second half. Cal's pushing for a field goal at the end of the late in the first half, Cal's pushing for a field goal. He gets a sack, pushes them out of field goal range. They eventually have to take it to the half down, and Pitt holds on to its lead. Then you also have after that, the floodgates open up. The Pitt ends up with 6 sacks, most it's had all season, tying its season high from last year as well against Boston College late last year, and a really good effort there. Jimmy Scott leading the way, defensive end, with 3 sacks in this game, 2 at a crucial point. And that's the point of this, Stephen, is that the pass rush came through in big moments. There was a play, Eli Holstein, who we'll get to in a bit, through his second interception of the game over the middle. Cal had the ball on Pitt's 40. Pitt's offense wasn't moving. This was a moment where Pitt normally crumbles. But what happens? Jimmy Scott gets 2 sacks in 3 plays that pushes them back out of field goal range and forces Cal to punt. Several times in this game, the pass rush came through at key moments. Kyle Lewis, I think Donovan McMillan got in there on one, and you had Braylan Lovelace with 2, Jimmy Scott with 3. It was a spectacular effort from Pitt's pass rush, and refreshing to see them play kind of the old school Pat Narduzzi way.
Yeah, Narduzzi said after the North Carolina game that they needed to find ways to get pressure with just 4 rushers.
Yeah.
And they were able to do that today. They were finally able to not just get pressure, but also get home and finish off these sacks and these tackles for loss. It was kind of, they were coming close a lot, but weren't able to finish off a lot of these plays, and you saw the result of what it's like when Pitt is actually able to finish off those plays.
What's your good from this game, Stephen?
My good is Ben Sauls. This guy is playing like an All-American right now. He kicked a 58-yard field goal that ended up being the game winner. It ties the Pitt record for distance on a field goal. He's made 12 field goals in a row. That ties the Pitt record as well. He's kicked the ball 38 times, between extra points and field goals this year. He hasn't missed one yet. To say Ben Sauls is automatic is really underselling it. This guy's been a weapon for Pitt all year, and he really earned his money today.
He certainly did. You think back to the game-winning kick against Cincinnati earlier this year, going back to the Sun Bowl 2 years ago. There's been so many clutch moments. He came up kicking a 58-yarder. I remember they said sitting him out there, and I was like, do you want to risk his record with this? Pat Narduzzi joked that Ben Sauls said, take a delay a game so I can get more yards. He said it didn't actually happen, but Ben Sauls is a confident kicker, and he's playing like it in big ways for Pitt when they need him. He's very much a part of this Panthers story to be starting 6-0. But, as always, with the good, bad, and ugly, we got some bad. I'll start with my bad here. I'm going to start with the third downs. Pitt was abysmal on third downs on both sides of the ball. Better on the second half for the defense. But I think the offense finished 1-11 on third downs. That is just inexcusable for this offense for how good it's been, and we'll get to Eli Holstein in a bit. But it wasn't just Eli Holstein on third downs. On the opening third down of the game, Pitt went 3 and out to start this game, something that you don't often see from this offense. Desmond Reed missed a hole. Now, Desmond Reed more than made up for it with a 72-yard touchdown later. He was, one of those player of the game type dudes, continues to be one of the best players in the country at his position. But also then you looked at several different times. Eli Holstein looking confused, not sure where to go. Sometimes Cal also just playing really good defense. But 1 of 11 on third downs, that's usually a death knell for Pitt. On the flip side, to start the game, Pitt was giving up lots of third and longs on defense, third and 19, third and 11, two third and 9s, just back-to-back plays that normally, when that happens early, that's a really bad sign. Now, I will give kudos to Pitt because they made adjustments, and they talked about it. Braylan Lovelace said, hey, they were countering our blitz by hitting us over the middle, so we said we got to prioritize taking away the middle. They did that, and things got better. But there's no mistaking major third down problems on offense, early third down problems on defense that got fixed later, but certainly something that Pitt cannot carry into further ACC play when it goes against Syracuse in 2 weeks.
Yeah, especially on the defensive side of the ball, it got to the point where when California was facing, a 3rd and long, a 3rd and 7 or longer, you almost felt like that's exactly where they wanted to be. They wanted to be able to extend Pitt's defense, spread them out a little bit so they could hit those underneath throws when Pitt brought pressure. But on the offensive side of the ball, this is where my bad comes in, and we got to talk about Eli Holstein because not only was he bad on those 3rd downs, but he was bad for pretty much this entire game. He was inaccurate. He made bad reads against Cal's secondary, which is experienced and leads the country in interceptions. They added 2 to that total today. Holstein just looked a little bit lost. He told us in the post-game press conference that he felt like he played like a freshman for the first time this year, and that's pretty accurate. This guy has been calm. He's been poised. He has been Pitt's leader for much of this season and the catalyst behind this great start. But today he was a detriment. He wasn't good enough for them, and he got bailed out by his defense. So he's going to need to do better. He's going to need to learn, and he's going to have to be better reading defenses particularly.
One thing I thought Cal did very well was they were understanding, and again, this goes to the experience they have in their secondary, they were understanding where to take away certain passing lanes. A lot of times Pitt would call play action, and you see them try to hit a slant, and they'd have a linebacker drop right into the passing lane and knock that pass down, or the Pitt would try a pass out to the flat, and they'd have guys jumping out there. So kudos to Wilcox, the head coach.
Absolutely.
This was a really good defensive game plan. It took Eli Holstein out of his rhythm. And again, to your point, he said he played like a freshman. He is a freshman. This was his 6th start, and again, he's played phenomenally. This was he had a streak of 5 straight games of 3 touchdowns each. This is his first, I think, real comeuppance moment. But again, it's huge when you have those comeuppance moments for Pitt, and then they turn out to be a win. Normally, those are the ones that you lose a game to Western Michigan and you ruin a really good season. And here you are winning while ranked. Also, this is the 10th ranked win under Pat Narduzzi. They are 10-8 while ranked and while playing as a ranked team. Pitt is in during his tenure. So Eli Holstein's your bad. What's your ugly in this game?
My ugly is the Cal penalties. I believe it was 11 for 110 yards. I mean, Pitt got bailed out in a lot of really critical situations by Cal penalties. I mean, Cal shot themselves in the foot. You think about it. I mean, Cal has been through a brutal start to this year. I mean, starting 3-0, but then a bad loss to Florida State on the road. Then you got to come back home to play Miami, and you lose by 1 point after blowing a 25-point lead to the number 8 team in the country. You think about it, Cal should be at worst 5-1 with 2 wins over ranked opponents. And instead, the way these guys have shot themselves in the foot, has really just kind of tanked their season before it could really even get underway. Pitt got very, very lucky in this game. Not just the penalties, but also getting a missed field goal at the end of the game too. Pitt deserved a lot of credit for how the defense played, but you can't overlook the gifts that Cal gave them.
Absolutely. I mean, here's the thing. Cal got the script it wanted in this game. It got the Pitt's offense to not scoring points. It forced Desmond Reed to have to hit a home run, and they had one. But again, Desmond Reed had a home run touchdown run on the 72-yarder. By the way, brilliant call by Kade Bell. He said both Holstein and Reed said he drew that up on the sideline. That's crazy on that play. But then also the first touchdown, largely because of those penalties that Cal gave Pitt. And to your point, I think Pitt stole one away from this. And that's where it goes to my ugly. This game was ugly. It's a 17-15 win. You're not supposed to be playing these types of games if you're Pitt. However, I'll give you this, Pitt fans. I know some of you out there saying, hey, it's a win. Why are you so negative? I'm not being negative about this. I'm acknowledging this was an ugly win, but I think it's a good thing that Pitt finds a way to win in an ugly game. Because truly, when we were watching all these past several games here at this stadium on the road, you've been listening to us all season, we've seen Pitt win because of its offense and its offense putting up points. And every week we were wondering, man, with this defense, with the way that they're playing, can they win if the offense doesn't put up 30 points in the game? Can they win if the offense doesn't go berserk on teams or rush late for a crazy rally? And in this game, they did. Not just early, not just throughout it, but later in the game. They were on the field for 77 plays. That normally tires out a defense. Braylan Lovelace saying after the game, hey, we went up against that offense all spring and all summer. That trained us to have the stamina, to be prepared, to take things on. Even when Pitt, after you get a missed field goal from Cal, Pitt gets no first downs. They have to punt. Cal gets the ball back with just under a minute to go, and Pitt comes out, blankets the field, 2 incomplete passes, forces, blitzes, and gets a 3rd down pass that's incomplete, then tackles the guy short of the sticks on 4th down. This was a really awesome game from the defense, also shutting down a rushing attack that I wasn't sure if it would shut down because of the speed that Cal has. I'm truly impressed by Pitt's defense because Good teams know how to win with their script. Great teams find a way to win even when their script isn't working. And now, if you're Pitt, you've now shown I can win. I can win with my offense scoring. I can win with Desmond Reed going off. I can win with Eli Holstein going off. And now I can win with my defense locking you up. And if there's ever a game where all of those can align, that can be a special game where Pitt can put up a really impressive performance against a good team and maybe get a real big statement win this year.
Yeah, and what did we watch last week? We watched Alabama play an ugly game and lose to Vanderbilt. We watched Tennessee play an ugly game and lose to Arkansas. Good teams find ways to win even when they're not at their best, and that's what Pitt did today.
Absolutely, and Pitt right now can't say anything but a good team. 6-0 for the first time since 1982. That year, led by none other than Dan Marino. They went on to finish 9-3 that year, number 10 in the country with that finish. But now, Steven, I'm going to let you call your shot here. Where does Pitt end up ranked? They're number 22 going into this weekend. Where do they end up ranked after this win?
I'd guess a small bump. I mean, this wasn't a particularly impressive win, even if we can appreciate the merits of it. I'd say around 19. That'd be my guess right now.
That'd be a very interesting place to be. I think that's the highest Pitt have been since being ranked 17th. I think that was 17th in the 2022 season during the Sun Bowl year. So, but either way, Pitt has positioned itself to be in a solid place. They're 6-0, looking really good in the ACC right now. Still lots to play, and they got a bye week next week. We'll have you covered all throughout the bye week. We'll have you covered all week long, getting you ready for that. And then they come back here Thursday night, the week after the bye week, against Syracuse for a big showdown, a big old school rivalry football game. Pitt wins that. They'll be 7-0, matching the 1982 start. And then we start to get to more interesting conversations. They're already bowl eligible. They go 7-0. Now we're talking about big bowl games at the end of the season.
Big bowl games, maybe even a playoff.
Maybe. We'll keep you covered here at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette all season long. He's Stephen Thompson. I'm Chris Carter, your Pitt Beat reporters here at Acrisure Stadium. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Remember, you can find this show on your favorite podcasting apps and on YouTube. Like this video if you enjoy it. Subscribe to this YouTube channel to get all of the daily content that comes out from all of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette writers, including our Steelers coverage, which is coming tomorrow. Stay tuned for all of that and more here in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Chris Carter and Stephen Thompson. We'll see you next time. Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.